So we are a developer of a decentralized water reuse technology. And the word decentralized is key to the conversation. So we are collecting water from different sources within the home or within the business. So we're empowering people and business to use water twice and save up to 45% of fresh water that can be used a secondary time. So think about collecting water from your shower, your bathtub, washing machine, and then taking it through our system, clean it, collect it, sanitize it, use it a second time to flush toilets, garden irrigation, or to top off pools. So it's really the ability to use water twice and save thousands of gallons of water.
And are you focused primarily on home use, or is there a broader industrial use?
There is a home and commercial use. Our entry into the United States is primarily residential markets, new builds right now, because we need to have the piping system prepared properly for our system to be accepted. But then we also have a line of our product portfolio that's going to focus on commercial. Think of hospitality, universities, sports clubs, major users of water that can benefit from using the technology and using water twice.
And the Hyperloop is founded in Europe, and then you're also bringing the technology to the U.S., correct?
Correct. The company has been commercialized since 2017 out of the Netherlands. We arrived in the U.S. about 10 months ago. So we're a rapid expansion plant right now. There's obviously the water drought conditions that exist on the West Coast, but it's rapidly expanding into other states, other cities. In the United States is by far one of the biggest consumers of water at every level, domestic and commercial.
So when we think about the planet having about 10 years to mitigate the worst effects of climate change, when it comes to water, what should cities be doing in the future?
So there are cities that are preparing. The urban challenges is population, right? By 2050, there's going to be a significant increase in population. We're going to need tremendous amount of water in order to avoid a catastrophe, which is upon us today. So there are major plans from water planners that are projecting 50 years into the future, 100 years into the future. And developments, if you look at new homes being built in Arizona, Texas, Florida, developers need to have plans to make sure water is readily available to support these communities. So the ecosystem of not only regulators, but the water organizations, the developers, are all part of a solution that is being driven aggressively today, but it needs to pick up pace faster in order to mitigate some of the pending damage within the next 8 years.
Now, I understand that some cities or homeowners associations discourage homeowners from reclaiming their rainwater or doing these types, installing water technologies on their homes. What are some of the unintended consequences that might come about from a multitude of homes recycling their own water and not using a centralized facility?
So we've had those conversations with the water industry, and there is this thought process of we can all collaborate on the solution. Most of the water reclaimed by municipalities or cities today is being used for irrigation, for golf courses, to keep public spaces green. We're focusing on the inside of the home. If you think about a house, according to EPA, 300 gallons of water per day are being used in the typical U.S. home. 70% of that is indoor use. So we're complementary to some of those efforts, but we need to have that conversation in a faster way, in a more aggressive environment.
So we as a society have been talking about smart cities for a long time, and it started out as Internet of Things and such. So how do you define a smart city, and what do you think we should be focusing on in the next 10 years?
Let me start with that, because you mentioned something that is close and dear to what we've been talking about. We've been talking a lot. And we've been going to several meetings, and we talk, and we form committees, and we form subcommittees to talk a little bit more. So I think over the next 10 years, starting tomorrow, we need to challenge regulation. We need our regulators to step up and embrace technology in a faster way. We need to accelerate the growth. The technology is here today. It's available to make a definitive impact, a measurable impact. But as we have seen, and I come from the energy space, regulation seldom keeps up with innovation. And that includes discussions at the local and federal government, but also with the EPA. The EPA needs to improve some of their water sense programs that embrace technology and accelerate growth.
Fernando, we were speaking backstage about some cities that you admire that are doing things right in terms of water use. What are you seeing?
Absolutely. So there are cities and some states that are taking a more progressive approach. The city of Phoenix, Mayor Gallego has a very strong sustainability platform. She's truly embracing the use of technology, both on water and energy side. So that's a great example, and she's kind of a thought leader in the United States right now, positioning Phoenix as a very sustainable city in the U.S. San Francisco has always taken an aggressive position. They're requiring every building over 250,000 square feet to have an installed gray water recycling system, recapture water. Globally, Sydney, Australia, the Sydney Water is embracing technology in an aggressive way. We see it in the UK. We see it in the Netherlands. Unfortunately, we need to see it in more cities here in the United States. But most recently, the state of Florida passed a Senate bill, legislation, Senate Bill 64, that's really advancing and accelerating the use of gray water in new builds. Uh, Part of the reason for that law is the fact that economic growth cannot be stopped because of lack of water. 300,000 people moving into Florida every year. It's a significant component of their economy, new houses being built. So the governor suggested that economic growth cannot stop because of lack of water.
Well,
And
they
it
all want
can't.
to play their golf.
Yeah, they need those greens.